Now we will talk about the evolution and future of Lean Six Sigma. We will start with the evolution of Six Sigma, but we will emphasize more on the future of Six Sigma because that is more pertinent to you and your career. Six Sigma started in the 1980s from Motorola. As you all know, Motorola used to make pagers those days, and an engineer by name Bill Smith in Motorola found out a way to reduce the defects in the process. That resulted in huge benefit to the organization as far as quality is concerned. After that, Six Sigma took off in Motorola and they tried to apply it for improving the quality. In fact, they recorded around $16 billion of benefit by using Six Sigma. Following that, many companies started adopting Six Sigma, but most of them were from the manufacturing side, particularly from the automobile and from the defense side. Companies like ABB started emphasizing the need to connect customer centricity to Six Sigma, and I'm talking about in the early 90s, so the concept of customer centricity itself was very nascent. Following this, companies such as Raytheon and Honeywell started applying Six Sigma as a philosophy, as a strategy. So Honeywell in fact records a benefit of around $600 million just because of Six Sigma. Following that, Ford made a milestone achievement of deploying Six Sigma in a mass scale in their organization. So they built capability to deploy Six Sigma and Six Sigma improvements across the organization, and they recorded around $300 million benefit as of then. Following this, there was a burst of companies which wanted to apply Six Sigma. So many companies across, starting from Dell, Caterpillar, and companies such as Lockheed Martin and ITT from the defense also started applying Six Sigma. And that is when around the 2000 is when Six Sigma was also becoming popular in the service sector. In fact, GE was the first company which applied Six Sigma in financial services. And Jack Welch was the person who made Six Sigma as a way of running the business, so to say a management philosophy. The emphasis that he placed on was on variation reduction in the service industry, because at that point of time in the service industry, concept of service level etc. was not very evident and was not practiced in great spirits. By reducing the variation, he was able to drastically improve the customer experience and customer satisfaction. They reported a lift of somewhere around 20% in their profits, approximating to around $2 billion or so, and he contributed a bulk of that to Six Sigma initiatives. Following this, many companies, largely in the banking sector, the financial and banking sector, mainly the American companies, started applying Six Sigma. Then other sectors such as healthcare started applying Six Sigma. So the application of Six Sigma, and when I say Six Sigma, I'm talking about Lean Six Sigma, started penetrating into sectors such as telecom, such as IT, and then there were also other late entrants who started applying Six Sigma in various industries. And following this, there was a big burst of adopters for Six Sigma across geographies. Most of them were service companies, and they were trying to improve the customer experience and customer service using Six Sigma as a tool. And that is when computing power increased. So naturally we had better technology in hand. Internet was much faster then. As a result, it was also possible to really make an improvement on not just make a theoretical case study out of it. Right now, as we are talking about, the Six Sigma journey has turned more towards RPA, which is robotic process automation to some extent, and on the other side from an analytics perspective. So what is in store for us in future? If you were to embark on a journey for Six Sigma, what is it that you will derive in your career? I want to take a step back and talk about analytics for a few seconds before we delve into that topic. If you look at analytics, it largely has four elements to it. The first element is what we call as descriptive analytics, which is largely about trying to find out what happened in a scenario. So presenting graphs and data in such a manner so that you understand the impact of a problem. Diagnostic analytics is more about explaining as to why that problem occurred. If you are able to create a correlation between what really happened versus what factor triggered it, then you will very well be in a position to say that this is the root cause of the problem. Following this is predictive. Now that we are able to diagnose, we want to predict and say what could happen in the future. If you are able to predict, you pretty well start prescribing how the future should look like. So that moves and talks about prescriptive analytics. Bulk of all this, whether you call it as descriptive, diagnostic, predictive or prescriptive, objective of all of this is to improve decision making capability and particularly data or fact based decision making. And that brings us to the topic of Six Sigma, because Six Sigma has data or fact based decision making as one of its core pillars. In fact, if you talk about how people look at data science today, and I would say it is only today's perspective, or by and large this is the impression that many people have, is that you have to explore and find out insights. You should be able to handle large amount of data and come up with insights about why it is happening. But in reality, if you look at Six Sigma talks about finding out why something has happened, the root cause, then trying to identify a possible solution for it, going on further, making that improvement, that is putting the solution in place. All this would mean that you need strong change management and ongoing management capability with you. Thus, I would say Six Sigma is a more comprehensive package, and so is data science as well. But because today people are more interested in the exploratory aspect of data science, but soon we all will realize that once we have identified insights, unless we don't implement a change, we will never be able to derive the benefit of deriving that insight. If I were to give a difference between Lean Six Sigma and data science, I would say that Lean Six Sigma deals with smaller amount of data. So it mainly talks about data discovery, statistical data discovery. On the other hand, data science deals with a larger quantum of data. As a result, you need other skills in addition to what you need to have when you do Six Sigma, such as ability to pull data from various sources, ability to understand various data sources, etc., which you may not necessarily need when you're dealing with small data, because most of the data you deal with in Lean Six Sigma should be something that is there in an Excel file or elsewhere. The other thing that is different about data science is what we call as unsupervised learning, which means you're trying to teach the machine using certain algorithms, which is missing in Lean Six Sigma. Lean Six Sigma is more of exploratory study, which leads to analytical insights. In fact, in a greenbelt body of knowledge, you will learn descriptive analytics in detail, but when we move to the black belt body of knowledge, we also talk about predictive analysis. We talk about how predictive models can be built using logistic regression, etc. But the starting point for data science is regression and starting with predictive analytics. Thus, I would say if you acquire the Lean Six Sigma analytical skills, it can give you a very strong foundation for a career in data science. In addition to that, people who have data science and data science related skills may lack change management, influencing skills, and ability to really make an improvement happen. Such concepts or such skills are also covered in Lean Six Sigma. So I would say that Lean Six Sigma is not an isolated study of another subject, which has nothing to do with data science or data discovery. In fact, I would say it stitches so well into the current evolution of data science that if you have a Lean Six Sigma qualification with you, it can position you very well when it comes to making a change happen using data science. So with that note, I'm going to wrap up this lecture. In the following lecture, we will talk more about Six Sigma. Thank you.